have a very diverse panel today, and that's always a great thing. We have representatives from the insurance sector, we have a banker amidst us, we have a representative from the Reserve Bank of India, Dr. Dror, who carries years of experience in the field of microinsurance, and of course, a lot of international academic experience as well with him. And of course, we have Fino and also Crystal, our knowledge partners. Dr. Sinha, thanks for being here. So thank you all for taking our time and being with us here this evening. I'd like to start by getting some initial thoughts, perhaps a minute or two for us to be able to understand the experiences that you've had, ladies and gentlemen, and what you are sort of coming here with. So if I could start with you, Anuj, because this is the first time in this series that we're actually having a representation from the insurance industry. Now this is where the crux of the debate really lies, whether wealth can really be created at the bottom of the pyramid. At Religare, have you already started taking steps towards this, or is it something that is still in a blueprint stage for you?
So we all understand the need for healthcare and health insurance in the below poverty line, and there are enough number of reports that go on to suggest that one of the primary reasons, other than crop failure, for a family falling below the poverty line is lack of health insurance. From what has been achieved in the country over the last decade, we've made some very, very significant strides. I know for sure about 7-8 years ago, there was a lot of debate about can this be offered, in what way to structure it, fraud is endemic, can we get enough number, can we get somebody to fund it, will we be able to select the right risk? So there were all of those issues which used to come up when we used to debate health insurance in this country. I think about 5 years ago, the government, through the Ministry of Labour, started what has become India's flagship program, which is the RSBY, the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. And thanks to technology providers like Fino, thanks the insurance companies starting to come forward, significant progress has been made across multiple aspects, I would say. We now have a scheme where we've been able to deploy technology to effectively go out and enroll members along with the government, with patronage from the government, both the central and the state governments. We have a mechanism by which claims can be settled on a cashless basis for the customer when they need it most. What that has interestingly done, even in the rural areas where historically doctors or there was lack of healthcare facilities, is that because now there is funding available, a lot of new nursing homes and hospitals have set up operations, and there is more and more healthcare infrastructure being made available. And as a result, thousands and lakhs of families, individuals are able to get access to healthcare, quality healthcare, and are able to get treated. A large part of the fraud is prevented thanks to the technology that has been deployed, which is biometric enabled, it's smart card enabled, and for the hospital, it's great because it's cashless settlement. So both the consumer, the government is sure that the money that they are spending is going into for genuine treatment of patients, and as an insurance company, the fears of anti-selection, fraud, and so on get eradicated.
Okay, fair enough. Let me ask Dr. Dror to give us some examples, because you yourself are looking at microinsurance in a different sort of a manner. Your experiences in the country so far, there's a lot of talk that's going on, but what do you think is the ground level reality?
So let's first of all touch about two fundamentals that we are seeing constantly. If we want to have financial inclusion, we need to have an agreement what that means. To me, financial inclusion does not mean a bank account. For me, financial inclusion means that everybody can engage in all the range of financial activities that they wish to engage in. That can include a bank account. It can include insurance. It can include remittances. It can include savings and credit and everything else. It can even include buying stocks and bonds or hedging on commodities or on crop. All of that is financial inclusion. There is a lot more sense for farmers to hedge their crop rather than to take a loan. But that option is not even considered. Now, of course, I am aware that not everybody understands how to transact in every way. But there is plenty of transactions which are understood at the base of the pyramid and where people are unable or unwilling to transact. Unable because a lot of the corporate world is not interested in dormant bank accounts or bank accounts with very small amounts, very few transactions. Insurance which is not necessarily guaranteeing a certain profit, or at least not guaranteeing profit within a certain time range of 1 to 2 years. And therefore, access of people at the base of the pyramid to financial services in this country is, for the time being, a huge challenge for the demand side, because there is definitely not enough supply and not enough willingness to supply. So technology doesn't solve that problem. The second angle of it is on the demand side. It is inconceivable that you can build financial inclusion systemically by basing it on charity or on subsidies that strengthen the motivation of charity. Handouts are sometimes necessary. They're sometimes commendable. But if you cannot install a system that is based on contributions of each and every beneficiary, you will not have financial inclusion. RSBY, as an example, has a lot of merit, but the plug can be pulled at any moment, because no single beneficiary has any right, could never go to court to claim any right.
Let's hear from Mr. Chandu, of course, represents the Reserve Bank of India, Raipur. Sir, how would you describe the last couple of years in this state and the kind of progress that has been made?
Now, in this state, demand side as well as supply side, there have been many challenges, but few of these I'll just pick up. Now, as far as supply side is concerned, now this state being predominantly 70% of the population lives in villages, and road connectivity, I can say that it's particularly the interior area where we want to reach, or where the focus is there, it's very difficult to reach also. And moreover, many of districts are LWE affected, that left-wing extremists are there. So that makes the job of supply side very difficult. And here, because of these reasons, although during the last 2 years, the number of branches has definitely increased, number of VCs has also come up, but the challenge remains. Because for the supply side, to reach there is one problem, and to go there with the suitable or the right products, that is another challenge. Now, coming to the demand side, this is a bigger challenge, because even if you reach there, bankers are there, VCs are there, branches are there, but when you interact with the people, this is illiterate, or most of them, they are illiterate. And there is poverty, and they don't understand even if you try to explain. Although there have been some camps, people have been addressed, but after some time you ask them what was told during that campaign, they don't remember anything.
Dr. Sinha, in fact, if you could come in over here, so then should we be just coming to terms with the fact that it is a very vast country, there are different regions and different issues at play. So therefore, of course, it's not something move unanimously across the board. I mean, there will be some states or some areas which will move ahead of others.
You know, the point that I'm making is that one of the objective of the entire financial inclusion is to target, you know, poverty, apart from many other things. But when you look at the data or the statistics or what's happening at the ground level, what you realize is that the progress made in terms of opening, say, or distributing the Aadhaar card or opening account linked to the Aadhaar card, they have progressed better in those areas where poverty is low as compared to the one where poverty is more. So if the objective is to really target the poverty and eliminate or reach out to those people who are really at the bottom of the pyramid, then somewhere this kind of a dichotomy hits you when you really undertake this kind of activity. And the other important thing that I guess, about which, the other two panelists have already touched about is that even when we are talking about financial inclusion, I guess the core of it, apart from everything else, is also financial literacy. So unless and until that goes hand in hand with other activities, somewhere really, taking the financial inclusion to its logical conclusion will be very, very difficult.
Ma'am, if we could get some idea from you about Chhattisgarh, and of course, as you see it from a banker's perspective, is it a lot of academic work right now, or do you think there's real merit in trying and taking this model forward?
We have to take everything together, and that has been our experience on the ground. That on the one hand, opening of account, and like rightly said, that opening of accounts is not financial inclusion. Providing the remittance facility, technology is a key partner in the process, because we have areas, very remote areas, we really have to depend on technology for the last mile delivery, which is very, very important, that the last mile delivery has to be in place. Otherwise, and then financial literacy goes hand in hand with it. So we have got all these initiatives in, I would not say in perfectly working condition, but in certainly we are moving forward. We have got financial literacy centers in all districts. We have covered all the villages under financial inclusion. Above 2,000, all villages have been covered in all districts. We are covering between 1,000 to 1,999 population villages. And now under the recent initiative of the Ministry of Finance, we are also covering the Gram Panchayat wise. Now we have mapped all the Gram Panchayats to the lead banks and to their lead banks operating in the area, and making Gram Panchayat as a unit, covering all the nearby villages falling under the Gram Panchayat. And then now we are in this process of appointing of additional BCs, so that each customer sales point doesn't have to service more than 1,000 to 1,500 households. So these are some of the initiatives, and it may not be perfect, but this also creates a banking habit among the people. The banking habit combined with the credit linkages also is equally important. And in this, I see the key to this is tapping the local activities that are done in that area. It could be dairy farming, it could be forest produce, it could be agriculture. So whichever area, it could be artisan, we have artisan clusters also. So this is the key thing, that whatever activity is being performed in that area in a small way, to get it linked with the credit.
All right. Let's hear from you. What has been the FINO experience in Chhattisgarh?
Okay, we've been in this state for about 3 years now. It's a tough territory to work in. Roads is a constraint, connectivity is a constraint, so we had to do a lot of hard work. So if I had to check on some mandu somewhere, it used to mean a 2-day trip for my employee to go check and come back and report. But so we've been at it for 2 years now, and we worked in some of the LWE districts, as you mentioned. We did not have a single incident where our man carrying the money was held at ransom. Okay, everyone understands that what you're trying to do is good for the people, and no one touches us. You know, while you can still encounter gun-toting people, but our money has never been lost because of that.
Primary transactions are we talking about? Is it only benefit transfer? Is it remittances?
So currently it's only benefit transfers. As you also pointed out, sir, that if financial inclusion has to happen, it has to be relevant. It can't just be money in, money out. So as FINO, we've been very focused, saying 4 products have to be available on a single platform. It has to be savings, remittance, insurance, and credit. All these products have to be available on the platform to make it sustainable. However, we believe that the beginning has to be made somewhere. Okay? The government benefits being transferred over the BC channel provides the platform on which infrastructure can be created, and on top of that, the other products can be rolled out. That becomes a self-sustaining proposition. People are today paying for insurance. You know, we just saw in the documentary that the accident risk, low cost, product has to be designed for the market, is extremely successful. You have to ensure that if a claim arises, it gets settled. Otherwise, it's just a sale, right? Remittances are happening today. People are paying for it. Credit is one thing which I would like to see more of credit on the channel, because that can really alleviate poverty, as we were discussing earlier, because it actually helps in capital building.
Right. Anuj, the point that the panelists have already made, that you can't be relying only on charity, government charity, to really get this thing off the ground. As you see things right now, are we anywhere close to the point where you can take a business decision to go out and create products specifically which have nothing to do with benefits?
I'm going to try and, I'm going back to your question, I'm going to respond on both sides. I think what funding from the government has done has allowed for innovation from the supply side. So it has allowed for technology to be developed and deployed. It has allowed for healthcare infrastructure to be set up, which is most important. Earlier, even if somebody were to fall ill and could afford it, we just saw on the documentary where you travel for a bank branch to another village which is 10 kilometers away. Imagine going to a hospital, right, which would be again a couple of days away. Now there is, thanks to the funding and thanks to the business available, doctors have found it appropriate, are finding it viable to build nursing homes and hospitals even in the smallest of villages. Through technology, we've been able to eliminate fraud, largely eliminate fraud, which has allowed for the scheme to become viable. Right? So a lot of the supply side constraints in some ways have been taken care of thanks to the funding being made available.
Sure.
On the demand side, if there was no funding, would it be sustainable? I think what is happening clearly is the poorest of poor are realizing the value of health insurance and access to healthcare and the benefits therein. There is clearly a rub-off of that whole aspect into all of those segments which are just what I call above the below poverty line, but still need access, probably have limited affordability, and earlier could not get access, right? So there, I think a lot of work again has to be done by companies like us and the whole financial sector, wherein I think our ability to collect that few rupees a day, how do we cost effectively collect, how do we build a pool with that, and we are able to hence sustain these operations. I think there is still work to be done in that area.
Mr. Drawer, your thoughts, is it a little too early for India, at least for certain parts of India? As we just heard the gentleman there talk about, there's issue of roads, there's issue of basic electricity, there's issue of safety. There are a lot of other primary needs that are yet to be met and fulfilled. So how do you look at India and your experience here as opposed to your studies and experience in other countries?
It takes a long time for people to, first of all, build a certain degree of trust to listen to you. And only when that trust starts to build, do you start to come across with the messages. And only after those messages are repeated in more than one way, can you expect people to start making that a consensus. if it is not a consensus, if it's not something that we all do, that we all believe in, that we all reinforce each other, it won't go. So the real challenge is not how many bank accounts have we opened. I'm not underestimating the importance. It is important. But the question is, how many villages will have created the consensus that a responsible adult, just as a responsible adult gets married, that's normal, everybody knows it, everybody does it, and everybody supports it. A responsible adult also has certain responsibilities which happen through financial interactions. Insurance is by far the most important. Savings is another one. Certain kinds of financial transactions in the lending domain would make a huge difference to wealth creation in rural India.
Rajiv, in your experience in Chhattisgarh, what kind of queries come up? What are people looking for beyond just getting their benefit transferred?
So to begin with, they're just worried about the money coming in.
Yeah. Is it safe? Is it coming in?
Yeah. So they have their own set of apprehensions saying whether the money will come in. Is my money really there? Okay. The next set of comfort comes in when they let one payment cycle go because they are comfortable that the money is still there. That's the next level of graduation which happens. A lot of people are asking us for credit. A lot of people are asking us for remittances from some within the state itself. It's not necessarily saying that Bombay to this area money has to come in. Within the state itself, there is local movement and people are interested in money being delivered here. So those are the few things which are coming. Insurance, we've made a beginning. It is difficult to explain to people till they experience it. So once one or two claims actually get passed and when people realize the value that the insurance had, we realized when we started in the beginning that the annuity products where annually premiums have to be collected are very difficult to maintain and sustain. A lot of insurance companies already have a lot of policies which have gone in abeyance because premiums have not been paid. Simple product with a simple language, no fine print is important because insurance, the fine print kills you actually. And then you ensure that the claim gets honored. If the claim gets honored, it builds back trust, as David was mentioning. It builds back trust that, yes, this is not just a piece of paper, this is something which has tremendous value. And when the money comes in, we automatically see a lot of people wanting to buy the insurance themselves.
Do you want to comment on this? Simple product which has no fine print, yet generates decent enough profits for you. Is that even possible?
It's all about simple, templatize, because it's not about the consumer. It's first about our own representative. His or her ability to understand what the product is, what it covers and excludes, and being able to communicate clearly. See, at the heart of it, this category is about trust. We collect premium and issue out a piece of paper which is really a promise that if there was a claim, we'll be able to honor it. And if there are, especially in the rural markets, in the in segments which are less literate, if you go out with products with too many exclusions and so on and so forth, it doesn't fly. It doesn't work. One claim rejected there.
There's a lot of mistrust that's created.
There is mistrust, and you're not able to run the business. It's not sustainable.
There is a clear consensus among the policy makers and business leaders to achieve satisfactory level of financial inclusion. Chhattisgarh will need more resources, ideas, and a common pledge. I pledge to contribute to the success story of my country, that soon there will be no one left behind. I will not stop. I will not rest. I pledge to ensure 100% financial inclusion. In our next episode, we'll find out the Financial Inclusion Initiative touching the lives of people in Patna.